he went up to check the VIN number of a car out in the middle of nowhere on a farm. And he went up, checked the VIN number, and all of a sudden I hear all these dogs barking. And I've got my beams on my truck down real low, just the running lights on. And all of a sudden I see Todd running right across the front of my truck and 3 dogs after him, all wiener dogs. But it was so dark, he couldn't tell. Like in Ohio, if I had a reasonable suspicion that person was in there,
right,
I could go in there. Now I think you have to have that person had to write a physical address down when you bonded him out of jail of where he's going to be, and let's put it this way: if I knew you were hiding in an apartment complex, I can't go through that apartment complex and kick every door down because I know, because I seen you walk in the building. I've got to know what apartment you're in. But if I know what apartment you're in, I've got the right to go in there and get you.
Okay.
Because basically when you write a bond, that person is giving up his rights.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't need a search warrant. I don't have to have police backup, but they will back you up on a bond if you need them. But as long as I know that you're in there, I'm probably going to come in after you.
Right.
So
I mean, has that happened?
Oh yeah, that's happened a couple different times.
Were you ever concerned that?
Yes. And the first time I did it, I got called down to the police department, and my boss always gave me a 3-fold pamphlet of everything a bondsman is legally allowed to do with the codes and everything written on it. So when I got, they called me one day and they said, we heard you kicked in an apartment door. And I said, yeah, I did. And, well, what gives you the right to do that? And I just hand them that paper and they'd read it over, go, okay, you're good to go. Right. So, because believe it or not, a lot of the police officers have no idea what a bondsman is allowed or not allowed to do.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, have you ever grabbed anybody and they had like a fake ID or something, or?
Just one girl. And it was, like I said, after I questioned her for a while and things weren't adding up.
She had a fake. I thought she just gave you just gave you the wrong name. Well, she actually had an ID.
Yeah, she had an ID. And I was with one of my partners. His name was Kevin, and he actually saw through it first, and then we talked about it. And I go, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And when we got her down, it was who she said she was. So she finally gave it up when the police down at the station.
So what about the story about the kid?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know how you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and you wait in line?
I've been many, many times.
Exactly. And I hated to go there, and thank God they can let you send them a check now. But I'm sorry. I had a repo, and the lady worked for the Department of Motor Vehicles. And I said, revenge time.
Right.
So I went to her place, and the car was sitting there, and I backed up to it and had it up in the air. And a lot of times I go up and knock on the door and say, listen, I'm repoing your car. It's up in the air. If you want to come out and clean your stuff out of it, you can do that. And of course, they're giving you every sob story in the world. I'll make my payment tomorrow, or can I pay you? Or, well, I mailed it, or, you get every excuse in the world. And I said, I'm sorry, I've got to take your car. And as I was doing that, I seen a little boy come out. She must have been about 3 years old. And he's listening to everything, the conversation between my mom, or his mom and me. And I was around the back of the car taking the plates off, because I always give the person their plates back. And all of a sudden I feel somebody pulling on my coat. I said, what? I look around and there he is. And he's standing right beside me and he holds his piggy bank up.
Aw.
And he said, will this pay for my mom's car? And I felt like the biggest heel in the world when that happened. And, but yeah, every once in a while you get a story like that and it just kills you. I think that night I just said, screw this, I'm going home, going to bed. But I wrote in the book, I hope that kid turned into something and can buy his mom a new car. Cause he definitely,
took it.
He definitely would have done that when he was 3,
Right.
So, but.
I'm sorry, when you said the checks in the mail or that they've mailed it, or
Mm-hmm.
I had a mortgage broker. We used to play pranks on each other all the time. And one of my other mortgage brokers was doing a loan for a guy that had a tow truck company. And my other mortgage broker he'd been there a month or 2. And he actually had, after a couple weeks, came up to me and said, I hate to say this, but I got these 2 loans that are closing. And I'm like, right. He said, my car payment's way behind. And he said, it's a buy here, pay here lot. And I was just like, wow. And like, how bad is it? It's, and he was like, yeah, they're going to take my car. He said, so is there any way you could give me some money up front? I was like, well, how much do you need? I don't know what it was like. 2 payments behind. They were like $300, $400 a piece. I was giving like $800 or whatever. Well, so he said, okay, cool. So he took the money. Well, like the following day or the day after, I remembered like the guy, the customer that had the tow truck company showed up to sign some paperwork. And I went, whoa. And I said, hey, so I told the broker, come here. I said, listen, I told him about what had happened with this guy. The guy's name was John Sloan, actually. So I told him John Sloan is behind on his car payment. He's afraid they're going to show up and take his car.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, okay. I said, so I need you to get your customer to back up to the his car and take it. And so like go to put it on. So his customer comes in, he goes, okay, what do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to back up. They had the thing that went, and went under like it.
Yep.
He didn't have to get out to pick it up.
Exactly.
So
yep.
I said, start that hole. He said, okay, look, I'm not going to pick it up. Like I'm going to get down there and I'm going to jiggle it and make it look like it. He said, but I'm not going to actually touch the car. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, it's going to make the beeping noise when you back up though. He goes, oh yeah, no, it'll be a show. And I said, okay. So John Sloan, his desk was just like it. He faced like inward, and the back of his desk was all glass to the parking lot.
Right.
And there were blinds, mini blinds behind him. So he's sitting there on the phone, and like, so we're all kind of outside, and like I've told everybody, he has no clue. So there's like 10 of us now, a couple guys inside, 3 or 4 or 5 of us standing outside, a couple guys at the window, and all of a sudden we start hearing that beep, beep, beep. And so he's on the phone with somebody. He's like, or some customer or something. He's like, yeah, no, yeah. He's like, yeah, well, this is what happens. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know. Somebody's car is getting towed or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're backing up a truck. I don't know what the noise is. It's yeah. Because it's he goes, hold. He goes, hold on. And does the blind, blind. And he goes, I gotta go, and hangs up the phone and runs out there, runs over to the guy, and he's like, Sloan was a big guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, wait a minute. And the guy's like, yo, man, they didn't get your payment. No, I did. I dropped it off yesterday. I went yesterday. He's like, bro, you're on the order today. I got to take the car, man. I don't know what to tell you. And the guy's actually doing the lever and just making it go.
Yeah, right.
He's just making it noise. It's not doing anything. Sloan is like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I gave him the money. I swear, I got the money. I give it to the guy. I got a receipt. It's somewhere. I mean, it's at my house. If you can just wait, I can get my wife to take a picture of the receipt or get me the receipt. He's like, man, it's got to go. It's got to go. And the guy's starts kind of laughing.
Right.
And then so he keeps looking up at us. Doesn't realize like everybody's outside.
Right.
Like he told me later, he said, you know what the whole problem was? He said, I was actually sitting there thinking, like, I know I paid. He said, you gave me the money. I went down there and paid the next day. He said, so I know I'm getting the car back. He said, but I was like, this is so humiliating.
Oh, it's embarrassing.
These guys they're going to tow my car. And I just started working here. And all these guys are, he's like, it was horrible. And I mean, at this point, we're bawling laughing. We're all just done. And he's like, that's when he finally realized, like, something's wrong. Why are these guys laughing? Nobody's this much of a jerk. There's like 6, 7 people at this point who are laughing. Anyway, so he was like, what the hell? And the guy was like, yeah, man, they're just messing with you, bro. I'm not taking your car. He's like, man, you guys. He started yelling at us and screaming, and he was laughing. And anyway, so that just makes me think when you're beep, beep, beep.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Good time. Only because he didn't get his car towed. Like, he would not have. If they'd really taken his car, he would have been upset.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this is Matt Cox. I hope you're enjoying the video. Wanted to let you guys know real quick that one of the ways I pay my bills is I do paintings. My paintings range anywhere from $800 to a couple thousand, but I also have smaller paintings that I sell for $295, and that includes shipping. And I've got Marilyn Monroe, Bubblegum Girl, Biggie Smalls. I've even got some Trumps. I'm gonna leave my information in the description box, and enjoy the rest of the video.
And you get all kinds of excuses. I mean, it's crazy. It's, like I said, I put the check in the mail, or, I've got to buy groceries, or, everything's an excuse. And, the funny thing was, you would not believe the amount of doctors that I've repoed.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they make so much money, they don't even worry about paying their bills.
So some of the worst, by the way, one of the worst credits I've ever seen was from a doctor.
Oh.
And lawyers, doctors and lawyers. And yeah, horrible, months behind. And one of the guys, when he came in, I remember asking him, like, bro, you make good money. Like, you're behind. You've got a 90-day late. You got 3 30-day lates on your credit cards. He's like, well, I mean, yeah, but he said it's not a lot of money. I'm like, that's the problem. It's like $50, $40, $60. Like, he's like, yeah, well, I wait till it adds up to something. And I'm like, this is before credit. Yeah, 20 that people weren't quite as credit savvy as they are now. Like, I was like, it doesn't matter if it's 50 cents. You have to write the check for 50 cents.
Yep.
And he was like, well, what does it matter? I wait till it adds up. I mean, I was like, geez. I mean, so I've had some of them. It's almost like you almost have to make an effort to be this bad at your credit.
Oh, yeah.
So
and you'd be surprised how many blame is on their wives.
Yeah.
Well, she must not have paid it, or it didn't come out of my bank account. Like, oh, come on, man. But yeah.
God, so you took the little kid's mom's car. I mean, did you feel bad?
Oh, I felt horrible. Absolutely horrible.
But it had to go.
And my thing was, I'm getting back at the DMV, but yeah, that didn't work.
Man, I've sat in so many DMVs too. And they're so rude. Like 90% of them they hate your guts.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you take this job? If you really hate people the way you clearly hate people, like, why did you take this job? So what ultimately, what ended up happening with, you had a partner
Yes.
right? In the business, right?
Yeah. I after I started repoing, they were looking for somebody up in the Mansfield area. At that time I lived in Newark. And, so I called my buddy, Todd Duffner, and he still lived in Mansfield. And I said, hey, I got a really good job for you. And he went out with me on a couple of repos. He goes, yeah, I can do this. So Todd and me repoed all over the state. And he ended up also doing bail bonds with me. And he actually took over my bail bonds business when I bought the towing business. And we worked together so well. And I mean, there was nights we could pick up together, both in the same truck, just address to address. We'd pick up 7, 8 cars a night. And those were great paydays when we were doing that. And one day Todd walked into my office and he put his arm on my desk and he goes, look at this. And I could see all the muscles in his arm just twitching. And he goes, I'm not trying to do this. It's just happening. And Todd was a big fisherman, a hunter. And he was, a great day for Todd is when he's in the woods. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, you probably got a tick bite. Sometimes if you get a tick bite, that's what happens. He goes, well, I'm going to run some tests. So he, a few days later, he came back in and he said, I've got Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And he had just got married. He had just had his first kid, and that was Todd's. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. How old was he?
Excuse me. I think he was in his 40s at the time. And that was his dream, to have a family. And in a very short time, he was gone. And excuse me, it was it was tough. And he's one of the reasons I live in Florida right now. Excuse me, is because I knew, when that happened, life's short. And I told my wife, I said, as soon as our girls get out of college, I go, we're moving. And I said, I want to move to Florida. I want to retire. I want to take it easy. And I said, we got enough money to do it. And that's what we did. But I think of him every day.
And you talk about him in the book?
Yeah. One of the last chapters in the book's about Todd.
Okay.
Super guy. Great family. Grew up with him. We ran track together, played ball together. We graduated in 1979, and I think we still both hold track records at the school we graduated from. I mean, the boy could run. Boy, could he run. And I've got a great story about him. He was, we were out repo, and I think we were looking for an S10 pickup. And he went up to check the VIN number of a car out in the middle of nowhere on a farm. And he went up, checked the VIN number, and all of a sudden I hear all these dogs barking. And I've got my beams on my truck down real low, just the running lights on. And all of a sudden I see Todd running right across the front of my truck and 3 dogs after him, all wiener dogs. But it was so dark, he couldn't tell. So I see him running down the road like all hell, and these 3 dogs just chasing him. 3 dogs just chasing him down. And so I start up the truck, and I turn, I'm going down the road, and pretty soon he's running up beside the truck, and I grab him, and I go, they're wiener dogs, man, they're wiener dogs. So we turn around and head back, and I said, he goes, oh, that's not the right, it wasn't the right VIN number on that truck. But I see all these dogs in unison following each other, just wobbling back to the barn. Oh my God, it was hilarious. But yeah, we got a lot of great memories of Todd.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. How long have you been in Florida?
We've been down here a little over 3 years now. Yep.
Okay.
So,
all right.
no.
No, what? What's the tartan? What's
I
that?
had this one guy. Todd and me knocked on the door, and he wasn't where he's supposed to be, so that was strike one. And then
Todd wasn't where he was supposed
to be? No, the guy that skipped bail wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Okay.
Or wasn't living where he was supposed to be. So I found a girlfriend's address, went to her house, and knocked on her door, and she said, no, I haven't seen him. I said, no, he's in here. I know he's in here. I said, I said, we got to come in. She goes, well, you need a search warrant. And I go, no. I said, I don't need a search warrant. So we pushed through her, and Todd went upstairs, and I searched the first floor, and Todd comes down. He goes, man, she's right. Yeah, that guy's not here. And I go, crap. I go, I know he's here. And I go, did you check the attic? And Todd goes, no, I didn't check the attic. So we go up, we go upstairs, and behind the dresser, there's an attic access. You know, it's not there's actually a room in the attic, but on the sides, there's, 4 or 5 feet there that there's an access door to. So I get my Maglite flashlight out, and I move the dresser, and I'm peeking down through both sides of the eaves, and they had cellulose insulation blown in, which is that newspaper, dirty kind of insulation. And at the end of the attic, I see this lump, all, like a big mound. And I go, man, that don't look right. So I and I don't want to crawl in this 105-degree attic, and so I take a battery out of my flashlight, and I gave it a toss down there, and whack, I hit that little big lump, and all of a sudden that guy jumps up. He was up there completely covered in insulation, hiding from us. And it was over a stupid $5,000 bond, which he's going to get 30 days and go home. I mean, it was just something ridiculous. And so on the way out of the attic, he's crawling through trying to hit every 2x4 beam, and all of a sudden his leg goes through the ceiling of the bedroom down below. So now they got a big hole in their bedroom ceiling, and he crawls out, and I'm not kidding you. This guy I called it tarred and feathered because he is completely covered in this stuff. And we get him outside, and he goes, man, don't take me to jail like this. He goes, let me hose off. So he stood there as we're hosing him off. He's completely soaked head to toe. We got all the stuff off of him, put him in the car, take him down to the Mansfield City Jail, and the jailer comes out to take him back to the cell, and he's just looking at this dude going, and then he looks at us, and he's just shaking his head, and I said, that's what happens. But yeah, that was another good one. But, yeah, and the book, like I said, it's full of great stories like that. It's a good read. I think people will like it. Right.
So you had mentioned one of the things you said people ask you about, like, is it like is doing it like what was it we mentioned? Was it Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Oh
no. I actually was gonna mention that when we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Before we sat down, I was gonna say,
well, there's a lot of fake shows on TV. I know there was a couple of repo shows on TV that were completely fake, and they try to pass stuff off as reality. And Dog is, I'm sure he does a good job and everything, but people, I see him on the news a lot, and people interviewing him and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I did this for several years, and I rarely had people skip bond on me.
Right.
And when you write a bond, you look at the person, you look at his credit, you look at his family, you look at, is he going to stick around? And there's different things you have to check off of a list to make sure this guy's going to show up for court. And my thing with that show is, if you can't tell somebody that's going to show up for court, and you're just going to sit there and write bond after bond after bond, and you have so many bonds out there and so many people you're chasing down that they can make a TV show, are you a really a good bondsman?
Yeah.
So that's my big thing with him. I'm thinking, if you can go on TV and have a show every week of several people you're chasing down.
Was he chasing are these all his people, or are he chasing other guys also?
I think he does chase other guys' bonds too, but then again, he's in Hawaii most of the time, so it's not like
it's not a huge community.
Exactly. So and trust me, there's bondsmen out there that'll write anything that comes along. But do you really want to spend all your time out chasing people when you could be writing more bonds, making more money?
I mean, you do if you have a TV show.
Well, I
mean,
that's true. But take nothing away from the guy. But let's see. I just wouldn't call him a top tier bondsman.
Yeah.
And then when he gets involved in like that girl that went missing and down here.
Well, it's it's entertainment. I mean, he's a character.
Yeah, and I understand marketing, but when you're crouching down beside a fire pit and looking at the ashes and rubbing them between your fingers and going, he was here. Come on, man. I mean, people don't be so gullible.
He's checking the dirt footprints. It's him. He's wearing someone else's boots. They're 2 sizes too big. It's definitely Bobby. He's definitely out there. I always love at the end of the show where he tries to like lecture them and try to get their life right and tells them about himself and tells them about how he changed his life and how it's just like, stop it, bro.
Yeah.
Stop. It's
in one ear out the next.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's funny because, when I was locked up, I read, and I don't know if you know who this is. You've heard Stephanie Plum?
Stephanie? No.
I want to say it's Stephanie Plum.
Hi, my name is Juan Sanchez, and you know me from Matthew Cox podcast. I'm reaching out to you right now so you can go to his Patreon account and sponsor one of his 3 tiers he has. The first tier will give you a thank you text from him. The second tier will give you access to all of his videos, including the ones that I'm in, full length. The third tier includes all of that, plus one of these wonderful collectible paintings. Listen, I know there is hungry children in Africa. I know there is people starving in South America. But we need to help Matthew Cox, his cause. Please support him, go to Patreon, and help him help me help you.
Janet Ivanovich writes about her, and she's a bounty hunter. There's been a movie about her. She was a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of books. There has to be 14. Well, there may be 30 books now. I read probably 13 or 14 of them.
Oh, now that you said that, I think I do remember that.
Right.
It's a series of like paperbacks or something.
Yeah,
she
she's
put
a
out.
klutz. She's a klutz that ends up a bounty hunter because it's good money. She's constantly forgetting her gun. She's being shot at. She keeps getting, beat up. Like people are chasing her. She's chasing them. They're actually hilarious, bro. Like, I mean,
right.
You know it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous, but the characters in it, the funniest thing about the characters in it are the fact that these are real people. Like these are all, you can tell like that there is some nut job out there. Like you're dealing, the kind of people you have to deal with in that industry.
Right.
You're arresting the same people over and over. Have you arrested people over and over?
Yeah. 2, 3 different times on several different people. And it's like they've got my phone number tattooed on their arm. I mean, they just know, call Tom, he'll get us out. And they show up for court. So I'm not,
Oh, of course. That's great.
I mean,
have you ever chased down the same person? Has that same person run twice, or if they run once, you don't ever?
Oh no, they run once. I won't rewrite.
Don't call me again.
No. Let somebody else deal with that.
Do you ever go after them? Like so you put up a $10,000 bond, and you're saying that it's $1,000, cost them $1,000 to get the bond.
Right.
You're getting $500. Then they take off.
Mm-hmm.
So now they take off, and you have to chase them, and it costs you $1,200 to catch up with them. Do you turn around and bill them? Like, do you say, hey, or you're saying you're not going to get that money anyway?
I don't bill them, but on some bonds, I always took some collateral.
Right.
I've had motorcycles. I've had cars. I even had a Hot Wheel collection that I walked into the guy's house and he had them under glass on his wall. And I knew in my head, he values that.
Yes. Yeah. He might come back for that.
So I'm taking that with me. So, there's ways to make sure people show up for court.
Right.
So, but yeah. And like I said, I've been blessed as far as people showing up. I haven't had a ton. I'm sure the book I've got 2 to 3 times as many repo stories as I do bond stories because I was smart at writing bonds, and I still made a decent living at it. So
what about, did you ever take you ever place a lien on anybody's house?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had one guy, the police, he was laundering money, and he had over $1 million in foil wrapped up in his freezer, and the feds, the feds busted him, and he owned his own home. He owned a vending machine business, and I would write a mortgage on his house, or a lien, put a some type of lien, and that's another story. When I first started working there in Mansfield, I would go down to the clerk of courts or the recorder's office, and I would, stand there, and everybody knew I was the bondsman. So the bondsman, nobody wanted to help the bondsman. So, I would, stand there, and I'd wait in line, and, trying to get somebody to help me because they had to file this or file that. And I wasn't getting much cooperation. And one day I walked in, and I held up a $50 bill, and I said, if anybody will help me, I'll give you $50 right now. And then, come to find out, they found out that I was dating my current wife, Melanie. And I would walk in, and as soon as they knew I was dating her, because she was a legal secretary in town, everybody knew Melanie. So when I walked in, then all the girls at the clerk's office would be running right up. Oh, what can we help you with, Tom? I said, well, I guess it's who you know.
Yeah,
so,
You got to stay in her good graces.
Yeah, exactly.
Things don't go well with Melanie. You never get helped again.
Yes.
The 50's not even going to help.
That's true.
Oh, there's that Tom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, have you never foreclosed on anybody's house? Never had to.
Never had to. Never.
So what if they didn't own the house? What if they had a mortgage?
Well, we made sure that there was enough equity in that house. Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard stories of bondsmen in big cities owning 4 or 5 restaurants and things like that, just because they've had to foreclose on people and stuff. So, but no headache here. So that's good.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to plug the book?
Yeah, Asphalt Hunter. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, lot of other different sites. And give it a read.
2 stories of a bounty hunter / repo man.
And I guarantee you every story in there is gospel.
I like Asphalt Hunters. That's a good title.
Spend a lot of time on the road looking for people and cars. That's for sure.
I have one more question. Are you allowed to carry a weapon?
Yeah. If licensed and stuff.
Yeah, if you have like a concealed weapons permit. Because in Florida, it's concealed. You have to have it concealed. In I know other states, like I remember being in Tennessee, I would see guys with the gun. Like you couldn't get a concealed weapons license. What you had in Tennessee was you had a carry permit, and you had to be able to see the gun.
In Ohio at the time, when I first started, there wasn't a concealed carry law, but there was a specific thing in the law that said if you were in a dangerous position, if you're carrying large sums of money, like to a bank or something like that, they gave you like a waiver on that. So I never had a problem with, I'd walk in the police department with a gun. As long as I put it in the locker when I went back to talk to somebody, I was good. So no problems.
Okay. If you like the video, do me a favor and hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section, and share the video to as many of your friends and family as you can think of. And I appreciate it. See you.